I talked to a former Indian captain, a very, very popular man here in Trinidad and Tobago who started his career here in Trinidad and Tobago and who calls Trinidad and Tobago his second home. I had the chance to interview Sunil Gavaskar a couple of weeks back. Let's play that interview in its entirety for you.
Irapali Prasana, Gigi Boy and Wadika, Krishna Murti and Vishnu Mankad. Them boys for real play cricket on any kind of wicket. They make the West Indies team look so bad. We was in all kind of trouble. Joey Carew pull a muscle. Clive Lloyd get about 3 run out. We was in trouble without a doubt. It was Gavaskar, the real master, just like a wall. We couldn't out Gavaskar at all, not at all. You know the West Indies couldn't out Gavaskar at all.
Sunil Gavaskar, welcome home. Welcome back to your second home. You've made this place your second home. How does it feel when you enter Piarco International Airport and you get to Trinidad and Tobago after so many years of coming back here?
Every single time I come back here, there's a spring in my step. There's a different energy that comes through me because I started my career here. So that, it's a special place in my heart. Trinidad has always been a special place in my heart, and therefore I consider it as my second home. I've got so many friends here over the years. Every time I come here, there's just simply no shortage of friends. In fact, there's shortage of time to go and meet all the friends that I've made here. And the people here in Trinidad, absolutely delightful. Such lovely, friendly people, great sense of humor, great, hospitality that you get. I could go on and on about Trinidad and Tobago. It is just a wonderful, wonderful place. And not only me, my brother-in-law, who unfortunately is no more, he came with me for one trip, and he also fell in love with the place. So I think to those who come from India, Trinidad just, captures you straight away.
You've been coming to Trinidad and Tobago for decades, to the West Indies for decades, so you've seen West Indies cricket at its top here in the Caribbean, and now you're back here in Trinidad and Tobago at one of its lowest ebbs. What do you make of what you've seen, not only in this India series, but what have you seen of the West Indies over the last few years?
Well, it's a little bit disappointing. Disappointing for having seen West Indies at their glorious best. To see that they're struggling a little bit is disappointing, not just to the former West Indian players, but those who played against them in the past as well, who have had to bear the brunt of their fast bowling attack. But the thing about the West Indies, why people feel so much for the West Indies teams, is because they've always played cricket in the right spirit. They've never had to say things to the opposition. They've just gone and done their job. And that's the reason why, there is a general feeling of disappointment all over the cricketing world that the Windies is not as strong as they are. But having said that, let me say that what little I saw of them in the World Cup, I think there's plenty of encouragement over there. And I do believe that if the Windies go back to that line of attack, which really had a lot of top players in the World Cup a little bit, shattered. I think if they go to that line of attack, as we saw in the test matches against England earlier in the year, then I think Windies could be back to the top very, very quickly.
And we have some pretty promising players as well. Some of them ply their trade in the Indian Premier League as well. We've got Shimron Hetmeyer, Nicholas Pooran. Our future looks pretty decent, if anything.
Oh, absolutely. I think, these guys are all, in their early years of international cricket, and I think they're only going to get better. Hetmeyer is a tremendous player. The 100s that he got in India in the one-day matches were what a delight to watch. Nicholas Pooran's there. Shea Hope is there. Technically so good. He can succeed in all formats of the game. So these are the guys who are there, and I think with somebody like a Chris Gale around to help them, the pace is Jason Holder. How well he has come on as a captain and as a cricketer. He's a tremendous cricketer. So Windies have everything. I think perhaps the only thing that one could say is that maybe there is not the same sort of belief that they had when they were beating every team in the 70s and the 80s. And once that belief comes that they can do it, I think they'll start winning again.
Chris Gayle is in the twilight of his career. This could be his last match in Trinidad and Tobago and this final one-day international. What have you made of his career? Did he contribute enough to West Indies cricket? Did he give enough time to West Indies cricket, Sunil? He's plied his trade in so many T20 leagues around the world. How would you summarize Chris Gayle?
Oh, a wonderful, wonderful player, tremendous entertainer. And yes, I would like to think that he's contributed, enormously to West Indies cricket. And towards maybe the last half a dozen years, he's looked because as you come to the end of the road as an international player, you sense that you have limited time left at the top at the international level. Then you look to consolidate your future, and that's only natural. And particularly in this part of the world, because there are not that many opportunities after you retire from the game. So one can understand that over the last maybe 5-6 years that he's maybe concentrated on the T20 leagues rather than on Windies cricket. But he's come back in the last year and a half. He's contributed. He's given again a lot of time and inputs to Windies cricket, from which I do believe the younger lot that is there in this West Indies team, they're only going to benefit from that. Chris Gayle's contribution to West Indies cricket and to world cricket has been tremendous. He truly is the universe boss.
You've succeeded on and off the field as a cricketer. What would be your advice for West Indies cricket officials, administrators, players at this juncture? We've been doing so badly out on the field. I know that you've seen glimpses that you focused on, but what advice would you leave for us here in the Caribbean?
Well, I think basically to start believing in yourself, because there's no shortage of talent. Even in this team, which has not done so well in the T20s against India and have lost one-day game, I do believe this team has got the capability of beating any team. And I think it's only a matter of belief and also a matter of habit. Once you win one game, you get into the habit of winning. You know how to win there. See, like a batsman, a lot of batsmen get 60s and 70s, but don't get 100. But once you go from 60, 70, 80, 90 to 100, you know how to go, how to build that innings, how to manipulate the strike. So that is what the Windies cricket has to do. Well, they have to find the way where they'll be winning. And once they find that winning way, I think they'll be unstoppable.
You know, Sunil, the Indian Premier League, do you think it's done the damage that some people think it's done to West Indies cricket? Do you subscribe to that opinion?
Well, I think there would be a body of opinion that thinks that way, for the simple reason that what it has done is taken a lot of the West Indies players away from international cricket for the West Indies. So yes, I think there's a body of opinion that would certainly look at it that way. But I would also like to think that what the Indian Premier League has done has given a sense of stability to the West Indian players. So if they play the Indian Premier League and they don't even play any other league, I think they'll be pretty well looked after. I mean, look at the stars that the West Indies provides to the Indian Premier League. They're all earning big money, the kind of money that should actually give them the sense of comfort, and that they should be able to then give maybe the remaining time, the 7-8 months of the year, they should be giving to West Indies cricket. That's my view. What the individual view is different, but I do believe that the Indian Premier League has certainly given the Windies players a sense of security and comfort.
We've just come out of a World Cup. When you look at the state of international cricket, you travel with the Indian team, you look at all of the teams in the international game. Where are we at in terms of the state of international cricket? Is international cricket at a good place?
Yes, it is. I think international cricket is at a very, very good place for the simple reason there are no easy matches nowadays. Yes, I think some wins might look massive wins, but I think there are no easy matches. All teams are very, very competitive, and no team can take it easy against any other team. And I think that's the biggest plus that we see in international cricket. The standards have leveled. There will always be the odd player who will be way above everybody else, like a Virat Kohli or a Steve Smith or a Kane Williamson or a Ben Stokes. These are the guys who will always be a little bit above the others, but the rest, they're all there. And I think what we see in international cricket is not only great skill, but great entertainment, and that's what the people want to see. Whether you're watching it on television, whether you're coming to the ground and watching, what you want to do is be entertained, and that's what modern cricketers are providing.
Are you happy with the format of the World Cup, or should it be changed back to its original format?
No, I think this is probably the best one, because this is where you play each team that is participating, and so if you win, then you can beat every team. Then you can say that you are truly the world champion, and that's the reason I was quite excited when New Zealand were to play India, because the India-New Zealand league game was washed out. They hadn't played against each other. And I was saying, well, if India beat New Zealand here, and then if England are in the finals, England had beaten India in the earlier match, and if India beat England in the finals, then they'll truly be the world champions. Alas, that wasn't to be, but I would have thought that's why I think the format is probably the best one.
This Indian team as well has been doing extremely well at the international level. Just fell short of winning the World Cup, made it to the semi-finals, didn't make it to the final. I think you were in England. What was your reaction?
Well, disappointed. Disappointing because what they had to chase wasn't really a very big total. It was about 240. Anytime in modern day cricket, if the asking rate is less than 5 runs and over, then you don't really feel pressured. But you have to give credit to New Zealand's bowlers because they utilized the conditions brilliantly. And once they got rid of the prolific two of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, the other batsmen just struggled a little bit. So full credit to New Zealand rather than blame India. I would like to give full credit to New Zealand for the way they won.
But it's a team still that many people sort of envies because you look at the way they're playing here in the West Indies. They're expected to play much better cricket in the coming months. So this is an Indian team that could rise to the top of all 3 formats possibly.
Oh yes, I think they've got the capability. I think the pool in Indian cricket has widened so much that the options before the team management and the selection committee is amazing. And therefore, I think once you have these kind of options, when you have a headache of plenty rather than have a headache of few, that makes it that much easier. There's also the awareness within the team that they cannot take their places for granted because there's somebody behind who's just waiting in line for you to stumble and he will go ahead of you. So I think that is one of the biggest pluses of this particular period in Indian cricket, where every player is out there to do his best. And of course, people will fail. That's what life and sport is all about. But yes, I think this Indian team has got the promise to be the best in all 3 formats.
Sunil Gavaskar, here in Trinidad and Tobago, I don't need to tell you, but there are people 50 years old, 60 years old, maybe 70 years old, came to the Oval, watched you played. And I'm saying this and I'm thinking about my dad, who is a huge fan of you and never stopped talking about you. But there are other people like my dad as well, who, what would you say to them? They watch and they say, wow, Sunil Gavaskar is in Trinidad. Do you have a message for your fans?
Oh, yes. Just want to say that, I love coming back to this wonderful country, to its wonderful people, the wonderful places that I go to. It's always a delight. And it's you people who have made Trinidad what it is. And it's the reason why I keep coming back. And may you continue to do so. May Trinidad and Tobago become very prosperous and the happiest country in the world.
So they'll come back home soon.
Thanks a lot.
It was God.